If someone measures a fever of 107 or or over with their child, should they kneel and pray or call 911? So go ahead, Kyle,
I
you answer first.
instantly pray. Yeah.
Why would you pray? Doesn't your God know everything already? Is he somehow unaware that your child is sick? Are you informing an omniscient being of what it does not yet know? I thought it was that not even a sparrow could fall outside of God's care. And he knows how many hairs are on everyone's head, too, doesn't he? Then surely he already knows about your kid's fever, right? God also knows the future, doesn't he? He knows when anyone is going to get sick, even before it happens, even before they're born. He already knows how they'll die. So he knows how and when your kid will die. And he knows how heartbroken you will be over that. Even before your child was born, even before you were born, he already knew that. So you're not telling God anything he doesn't already know. And more importantly, your prayer isn't going to make any difference either. I mean, if God is not omniscient and prophecy is not real, meaning that you have free will and it's possible to change the future, then go ahead and pray, because then God can be summoned into action. Oh, I didn't know little Tina was sick. Here, let me be a hero and push that fever or that tumor into remission in a way that looks just like if there was no God and the body's natural defenses were successful this time around. Because sometimes that happens for kids that, even for kids that didn't have anyone praying for them. But an omniscient, omnipotent, infallible God who can prophesy events centuries into the future, despite all the variables of trillions of human interactions between then and now, such a God already knows whether your kid is sick and whether the child will die. He already knows whether you're going to pray about that, and he knows whether he will answer you and what the answer will be, if he answers you at all, which will always be completely ambiguous, so that you'll never really know whether you got an answer or not. A lot of kids die of fever. If there was a God, then he just lets that happen. No matter how many people prayed for those kids, nor how sincerely they believed in God, and in the right version of God, too, from the correct religion and the best denomination and everything. Kids of every faith die like that. Whenever that happens, believers say that it's all according to God's plan. Here you are asking God to change that plan. Did God not see that coming too? Wouldn't that be part of his plan as well? Would God change his plan if you asked him to? If so, then how did he not know that you were going to ask him to do that? And why didn't he do that for so many of those other kids whose families were sincere believers in the correct religion, praying to the right version of God, earnestly in tears, pleading with God to save their child, yet the kid died anyway? God just ignore them? Why does God want you to pray to him, especially when he knows how futile that will be, if he knows already whether the child is going to die and that he's not going to do anything to stop it? Then does he just like to hear you beg? Maybe God is just testing you. Are these parents so irresponsible that they wouldn't even bother calling for emergency medical services, would rather waste precious seconds effectively wishing on a star instead? I guess they didn't love their child well enough to have one now, did they? Of course, God wouldn't need to test you, would he? He already knows precisely what you'll do in any given situation, which means you don't really have free will. Not if God can predict everything you will ever choose to do before you even know that there's a choice to be made. If he can prophesy, then you can't surprise him because, as Jesus said,
everything is fixed and you can't change it.
The reason you pray, the reason the clergy of every faith wants you to pray, is so that you'll help them to deceive you. Because we're talking about belief systems. What does it take to make believe? You talk to yourself, pretending as if you're talking to someone else, and you keep that up long enough, you will eventually begin to believe that whoever it is can actually hear you. It doesn't matter who you pray to, whether it's the God of Abraham or of Zoroaster, or one of the Hindu Trimurti, or a pagan patron from any pantheon. You can even pray to the ghosts of your dead ancestors, or to an out of body spirit guide, or your animal totem, or an extraterrestrial telepaths, say from the planet Xenu, or Kolob, or Dagobah for that matter. And maybe it's a reptiloid from the Sirius star system here to influence the Illuminati, or maybe it's just an interplanetary proctologist looking for a close encounter in the region of your trailer park. Whatever it is, you could talk to an idol, or a painting of your grandfather, or a statue of your Swami, or a doll, especially a creepy doll, even a bloody volleyball. If you talk to it long enough that you've already convinced yourself that it can hear you, then if you keep talking to it, eventually you'll hear it talking back to you. That's how faith works. It's inherently autodeceptive. That's why you pray. That's why the spiritual leaders of every religion want you to pray, so that they don't have to build up your faith, because you'll pull the wool over your own eyes and they'll have more time to count up your tithing. Because even if there was one true faith out there, everyone who prays is convinced that theirs is that one. And the supposedly holy men of every religion know that it doesn't matter how false theirs or any religion is. They know their secret is safe, because faith in prayer will never reveal that truth.